All right, everybody, welcome into the High Noon Broadcast. Streamcast, I suppose, is the more appropriate way of calling this. We do this each and every day from noon to about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We do topics. This is all about current events, things that are trending on all the multitude of platforms, whether it's your MSNs, your Googles, your Twitters, your Facebooks, all of that stuff. If it's trending, if people are talking about it in this crazy, mixed up, wild world that we live in, I'm going to discuss it. It's sort of a cheat sheet for you to get through the rest of your day so you're not walking around like a dummy out there. Now, special day, very, very special day here. Let us, if we can, let's welcome in back to the show, healthy, spry, looking great. His name is Emil. He's an artist. At night, he goes by Sunglasses. Welcome back, E. You were on the DL for a day.
Yeah, I was. I don't know what it was, but it was pretty. I don't know. I haven't felt that bad in a while.
Some people were concerned it was the COVID. I didn't think it was that. You had because your symptoms were stomach, and that's not a symptom of COVID. At least I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I still don't really feel like eating, but I guess that's a good thing. I could drop some weight.
Yeah, that is good. You know, I always think maybe a good disease might be the thing that I need to keep my body in shape, but there are other things that come with a good disease that I'd probably rather be fat. I'm thinking,
right?
I don't know.
As long as I don't feel hungry and I'm not eating, that's fine. Because I figure I'm burning calories and I'm not putting any in, so I got to be losing weight.
Whenever people tell me, whenever people go, "You're old," like my kid says all the time, he's like, "You're an old man." I'm like, "No, can't be an old man because I'm still fat." Old men tend to lose weight. I'm not all of them, but when old men get to really old, it's rare that you see a big, heavy old guy. It is rare.
Yeah, they die or they lose weight.
Yeah, that's pretty. Or they just, I don't know what it is. The body just starts eating itself. Like once you hit 65 or something, or 70 maybe, you'll have paunch. You'll have paunch, but you never see like a Louis Anderson type. At like 85 years old. That's not really a thing.
No, they check out like old fat people, like they die.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that part of aging where the weight just starts pouring off me. You gotta have things to look forward to in life. That's how I live. Today is November the 10th, year of our Lord, 2021. It's the 314th day of the year, 315th if you count in leap year. And we got 51 days left in this year. Now, let's talk about what day it is today. Yesterday, you missed, what was yesterday? Chicken sandwich day. Go to an arm. No, you didn't miss it. You were here for that, right? You stayed.
Yeah, I stayed for about that 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the show, and then I checked out. That was the thing that I had last ate, and the night before was a chicken sandwich.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, your absence caused me to do like a 20-minute rant on KFC chicken. I was stretching. I was trying to do whatever I could to get to those 2 hours without anybody to go, "What do you think?" And then taking a breath. It was, I know I can do it. I have done it. It's just not the way I like to do this. It's not the way I like to communicate. I mean, and even with you sitting there, I'll occupy a good 92% of all the airtime with my blah, blah, blah. But it's that 8% where I get to take a breath and relax and formulate my thoughts. I was streaming, man. I was just stream of consciousness for like a straight hour, just emotions bubbling up, just going places I didn't want to go. And I decided that is so dangerous. That is in the year of our Lord 2021, just going on a microphone and just stream of consciousness blabbering, that is dangerous because you say some shit. Stream of consciousness means avoid the filter. Just get rid of the filter and just let it all flow.
It's dangerous if you're employed, but if you're not employed,
Well, it's also dangerous because I listened back to yesterday's show, and although there were yesterday's high noon show, and although there were moments I was like, all right, I liked it. I mean, I didn't hate it. I honestly didn't. I'm very self-critical. I listen back to the shows and then I just hate myself and I go into a depressive tailspin for about 45 minutes. I didn't have that yesterday. I was like, okay. I'm like, yeah, that was fine. That was okay. But then there were just moments where I'm like, ooh, I'd like to take that back if I could. Ooh, that one snuck through the back door and got public. Ooh, I shouldn't have said that. So stream of consciousness is dangerous, especially in this era where everything, I mean, this is certainly not, we don't have a big corporate interest that's funding this. So it's not like we can get fired tomorrow, but the shit's out there forever. I mean, it's out there on videotape. I ever want to run for Congress and try to get KFC to contribute to my campaign, there's going to be audio of me just trashing KFC.
I didn't know you trashed them.
Well, I didn't try. I sort of, I gave a little and then I took a little. Like, I guess the whole point of the KFC stream was we were talking about National Chicken Day and who's got the best chicken sandwiches, and then it turned into who's got the best chicken. And I said unequivocally that as far as flavor goes, KFC's original recipe is my absolute favorite tasting fried chicken. Not the extra crispy bullshit. Don't want that. But the original recipe KFC, the greasy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Real grease. That grease is good, man. That grease is delicious. And what is it? 11 herbs and spices or whatever it is. I don't know. They got that shit down. That is a good tasting chicken. But then I went nuts on the fact that they seem to be cultivating a flock of disabled chickens. Because I swear to God, if you were to take a Popeye's chicken breast and a KFC chicken breast, the KFC chicken breast is like a third the size of the Popeye. KFC has the smallest chickens in their coops that I have ever seen. And that pisses me off about KFC because you can eat an entire bucket and you'll feel bad about yourself for eating a whole bucket. But then you're like, wait a second, this is only like 5 pieces of a Popeye's chicken.
So they have like concentration camps?
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know
them.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what it is, but the legs are tiny. It's like, what are these? These are quail? What is this? This isn't a chicken. You get like a little chicken leg from KFC, and then you see a chicken leg from a regular fried chicken place, and it's like twice the size. So I'm a little bit angry. Happy Semper Fi, my brothers. Happy United States Marine Corps Day. It is their birthday today.
Followed by Veterans Day tomorrow.
Yeah. The Marine Corps. I don't know much about it. My dad was a Marine. I don't know much about the Marine Corps, though. Yeah. Always seemed like that was the tough one. Hey, no offense to anybody who served. We're proud of all of you, and we thank you for your service. Somebody's got to do it. I just don't want to do it. It just didn't seem like something that I would have been suited for. And had I joined one, I think I wanted to join the Navy because I was like, boats. That seems good. There aren't pirates anymore. It's not like it just seems safest. The Navy seems safest. The Air Force, I didn't like that. I didn't like the idea of people shooting at me in a plane, even though I know that most of the Air Force people are on the ground. Very few of them are actually pilots in planes. I didn't like the idea of falling out of the sky. The Army, that just seemed like to me, well, they get fed to the grist mill first. They get sent in. There's anything bad happens, just send in the Army and they're disposable. I mean, that's how I looked at it. And then I thought the Marines, I'm like, well, no, I'm not tough enough to be a Marine. Those are the guys that are like really hardcore. I don't think I'd fit in with those dudes. So I settled on Navy. Navy would have been the one. The uniforms are silly, It's
big bell bottoms.
Yeah. Silly hats. Those hats are silly. Come on, Navy. Those hats are silly.
I wonder why they have bell bottoms.
I don't know. I think it's just a traditional uniform. Hey, they all serve a part. They all do a job. I'm not denigrating any of them. I was just walking you through my thought process at 18 years old. And Navy was also more of a see the world kind of proposition. They were like,
right.
Is all over. Seems like there's a lot of Navy dudes on leave. They seem like they have some fun. Whereas, the rest of it just seemed like awful.
Like with all the different, forces, I see like usefulness to their uniforms. Like their uniform, of the pilot has got function to it. The one of the Army has function to it.
Yeah.
I never could figure out the function to the bell bottoms in the hat with the Navy.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a Google question. Why does the Navy wear bell bottoms? That would be
Well, but I mean, you think about it, like,
must be more.
they got like aviator, the pilots, they've got like aviator clothes. The Army, they've got like their fatigues and they're colored a certain way. The
Yeah.
Army's uniform, the Navy's uniform just seems like, we ran
All
out.
the other uniforms are cool. All the other, like, day-to-day walking around the base uniforms are cool, but the Navy ones are a little bit silly. I think they look funny. However, and this is the exception to the rule, the Navy dress uniform, I think, is the best one. That's the one that's all white, you know? It's like those look
Mhm.
pretty cool. The Navy dress look good, but the everyday. Why does the United States Navy wear bell-bottom pants? Let's see what Google says. The bell-bottom trouser was introduced for sailors to wear in 1817. So, that
All
was
right.
the
Is
new
there a
design.
function to it?
Yeah, the new design was made to allow the young men who washed down the ship's deck to it's so that they could roll up their pant legs all the way when they were, like, working in, like, knee-deep water and stuff. There is a
Ah,
function to it. Look at
okay.
that. There is a function to it. Okay, see, now that totally makes sense,
There we
right?
go. All
Because if
right.
you're like, swabbing the deck, you're like, water all around you, you could bell bottoms allowed you to be able to roll. Thank you, Google. Google is so great.
See, I learned something.
Google is so great. All right, so it's National United States Marine Corps Birthday Day. Congratulations to you guys. When were they? When were they started? What was the birthday on that one? Let me see here. Figure out what day it is. Nah, I don't know. What do you think? Like 1700s, something like that. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I don't
No,
know.
I wouldn't think 1700. It'd be a little too quick. Like
Let's see
we
here.
weren't a country till 1776. So,
On November 10th, the United States Marine Corps birthday commemorates the establishment of the Continental Marines. The United States Marine Corps, a branch of the United States Armed Forces, is responsible for providing power protection from sea. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. The Marines are part of the Navy. They're like the fists of the Navy. The United States Marine Corps, blah, blah, blah. They use the mobility of the United States Navy to deliver combined arms task forces rapidly. Continental Congress first established the Continental Marines on November 10th. I was right, 1775. Said 1700s.
1775. I thought we weren't a country till 1776.
Well, we weren't. No. We were fighting a war for independence before that. We had an army. The Continental Congress established an army, and the rebels and all of that stuff. So yeah, it was just that we won and we signed the documents, and it became official in 1776. But we were trying
Okay.
to be a country before that.
Just
Leading up to
seems like you can't really call yourself all that until you are something.
Well, that's the whole point of America, baby. Continental Congress said, we reject you. We are now independent. And England said, no, you're not. And then we had to fight over that. But in 1775, leading up to the American Revolution, two battalions of Marines fought for independence both on land and at sea. The birth of the United States Marine Corps began as a way to augment naval forces in the Revolutionary War. The recruiting headquarters was in Toon's Tavern on Water Street in Philadelphia, which is considered to be the birthplace of the Marine Corps. I bet that's a Marine hangout.
Yeah.
If it's still there, I don't know.
I bet you it's there.
I bet you it's there. Yeah, I was blown away. When I went to Boston for the first time, we did the Freedom Trail where you walk, all the places that you hear about in history. And there are bars that, like, John Hancock used to drink at, stuff like that. It's like, really? This bar has been around since 1751 or something.
Yeah,
Crazy.
up north they don't knock things down like they do here.
Yeah, that's because all of the real old legacy stuff here was, Indian stuff. And the white man had no time for that in their history. So, except for the really old stuff, like the ancient,
Alamo.
Almost not even that old, though, Or
Right.
maybe it is. No, maybe it is because it was a Mexican mission. So maybe it is. I don't know. Have you ever been to the Alamo?
Yeah, underwhelming.
Underwhelming is right. I put the Alamo right up there with Graceland as like two of the most underwhelming tourist attractions I've ever seen. There's like a Taco Bell right down the street, right next to the Alamo. It's like it doesn't seem right. It's like
Yeah, I remember I was
the
like,
whole
"This is
area.
it?"
Yeah.
Somehow I pictured it being a lot bigger.
Is lit right? Well, that's because history has built up the myth of the Alamo as being this, larger than life central location, and certainly the history of Texas and in the history of the United States. And you get there and you're like,
Hmm.
my house is bigger than that. It's like that's not really impressive. Same with Graceland though. You ever been to Graceland?
Yeah, I've been by it. It's
Yeah,
not much.
well, I've done the whole thing. I'm banned for life from Graceland. That's a story for another day. When I first time I saw Graceland, I was like, huh, this is where the biggest pop star in the world lived? I go, this is a house that could be in the neighborhood I grew up in. This house is not impressive. Your house, this 1%er compound is the size of Grace, probably a little bit bigger than Graceland.
Mhm.
Although Graceland had a lot of land.
Yeah, it did have some it had some land to it. It's sprawled.
But Elvis didn't need no 10,000 square foot McMansion. Or I guess 10,000 square foot wouldn't be a McMansion. That'd be a real mansion. But you know what I'm saying. He didn't need that. He just had like 2 bathrooms and upstairs and downstairs a family room that was small. Hey, whatever, man. Elvis knew what he needed. It's also National Vanilla Cupcake Day, not to be confused with Cupcake Day or Chocolate Cupcake Day. It's Vanilla Cupcake Day. You like a vanilla cupcake?
I do.
I do too. I am one of these people who look, I enjoy a chocolate. I enjoy all of that. But man, when I really got a sweet taste for something, it's vanilla. Nothing but vanilla will do. And I'll tell you something, whenever I get like really like a crave, I need something to just sweeten me up. You know what my favorite thing in the world is?
No idea.
McDonald's vanilla milkshake. I don't know what they're doing. They are doing something amazing with their vanilla flavor. That is like the greatest. McDonald's has the greatest fountain Cokes on the planet. And you know why that is? I learned why that is. I've always said that the greatest fountain Coke on the planet is McDonald's. It's because McDonald's is the only entity that uses Coca-Cola products that's allowed to monkey with the formula. Like all the other places, you go to a gas station and they got a Coke spigot, and you get yourself a Coke.
Mhm.
Coca-Cola mandates exactly the amount of syrup you can use to water. I mean, it is a formula. They protect their brand, they protect their flavor, they protect their trademark. But for some reason, McDonald's is allowed to do a little bit of monkeying with that. And whatever McDonald's came up with, boy, a McDonald's Coca-Cola from the fountain is tremendous. I also think it has something to do with the straws. McDonald's
Well,
straw.
I heard that. I heard it's something to do with the carbonation and with the size of the straw.
Yeah, the straw is a little bit bigger than the standard straw, so it gives you a little bit more of a blast in your mouth.
Mhm.
All right, it's also National Forget-Me-Not Day.
So you know how you test that, I guess.
How?
You would get a straw from McDonald's and then just go order Coke at another fast food joint and see if it does it.
Yeah, I've probably done that. I imagine that in my life, I've probably done. You know what I used to do? There was a Burger King, a McDonald's, and a Wendy's all right next to each other, and you can access all the drive. This is in the town I grew up in, and you could access all the drive-throughs by one parking lot. So I would go to McDonald's, get something, then go to Burger King and get something, and then go to Wendy's and get something. And folks, that's why I'm fat. Because I couldn't decide. Do I want to? I once did a Wendy's double, a Burger King Whopper, and a McDonald's Big Mac, and just sat in my car and did a taste test.
Oh my.
This is
That's a lot.
it is. I had a friend, my friend Tim. He came back from France. He spent the summer in France, and I guess the money exchange rate was better, so he had like a crap ton of extra money. And being like any stupid teenager, you know what he did with the extra money? We went to McDonald's and he ate the menu. He ordered one thing from
One of everything.
he ordered one of everything. And yeah, I don't remember if he did it or not, if he finished it all, because I do know that me and another friend, Tony, we were there with him. And I know that we ate some of it. But yeah, he ordered the menu. He's just wacky like that.
Yeah, I haven't had if I think McDonald's menu, I haven't had a fillet of fish in a long time.
Oh, you ought to treat yourself. That's a sleeper on the menu. The filet-o-fish is a Tim. Kevin Barber knows Tim. He's like, that's a total Tim move. Yeah, it was. He ate the menu, man. He's also the guy who once tried to eat like 50 White Castle hamburgers because he had extra money in his pocket.
Mm.
He was a big ass dude though. And I don't mean like big ass fat, although he would have told you he was fat, but he was like a gigantic. He was like 6'4", and he was just a big gigantic kid who enjoyed his food. Let's see. He was also the guy. Did you have this friend? Whenever you'd be like, you pick everybody up and you'd be going out, you head into a party, right? 18, every car is packed with all your friends, and there's always one dude who needs to make a stop. He was that guy. We can't just go straight to the party. He needs to stop at 7-Eleven for something. So it was always late. Dude, can you guys just stop at the 7-Eleven? Ugh, the stop guy. The guy who makes you stop. We're all ready to go, man. Ain't nobody else need to go to 7-Eleven. What do you need to go to 7-Eleven for?
Didn't you kind of appreciate that guy, though? Because you'd be thinking, all right, well, now that we're stopping, I'm going to get this.
Well, more times than not, yeah.
Right. Yeah, he just had the balls to say it.
Suddenly you're driving to a party eating a honey bun that you didn't want. Yeah. You just, you were there.
Pool guy is here, Steve. You can shut the door.
Oh, yeah. Is it pool guy day?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's pool guy day.
Because we got a leaf problem out there. I haven't been doing the
Hold on, I got to shut this door.
All right, there he goes. Got to make sure that the dog doesn't attack the pool guy. Dog doesn't like the pool guy. Pool guy is deaf and dumb. And that's a terrible thing, right? Deaf and mute. I guess that should be the way we would say. Deaf and dumb doesn't sound good. So he doesn't hear when the dog is growling and coming at him, and so that's a real problem. He's also like a real handsome guy, which I bet. Hey, I was just want to put the headphones on. I was just talking about the pool guy, and I was talking about his handicap a little bit, but also he's like really handsome. So do you think he's like sexy trophy wife pool guy for some of these houses? Like he's in good shape and, he's out because he, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. He might be a good target for some of these sexy ladies here in the.
Yeah, I got no idea. I haven't thought about that. It's an interesting concept though.
Well, I did because I looked at him and he seems like a nice guy. I always waved to him and, seems like a nice guy. He probably is a nice guy. Hey, how you doing? He'll wave back at you. He seems like really friendly. And then I'm like, oh man, that's so sad. Cause you always feel bad when you see somebody living with a handicap, if you're perfectly, certainly not perfect, but if you're fully functional, as far as like all the senses go, you just can't imagine living like that. But then again, has he been like that his whole life? Do you know, or is that just something?
I have no idea. I don't know, but he seems like he's adapted well.
Yeah, if you've never known anything different, then you can't really like. When I used to always say, when I would tell people that like my father was killed, I didn't have a father. They'd be like, "Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't really have anything to compare it to. It's not really. I'm not really missing. You can't miss something that you never had." Mm-hmm. Only people who have had the experience can truly, miss it in that way. So I'm like, yeah, no, my mom did a pretty good job. I got a mom, I had a grandpa. We were good. I mean, I see other people with dads, and they seem to do a lot of yelling. They say they seem to be a problem with, kids being kids. So I don't know. Never really missed it. But I appreciate the sympathy from all you folks. That's nice. It's also National Forget-Me-Not Day. I don't know what this is. Do you know what National Forget-Me-Not is? I have no idea what this is.
Flower loves me not, forget me not. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Is that part of it? I don't know. I think you just added that. I think it's loves me not. I'm not sure. National Forget-Me-Not Day, November 10th, reminds Americans of the sacrifices returning soldiers have made of body, blood, and limb, created in 1921. The day.
Is that where you tie the yellow ribbon around the old oak tree?
I don't know. The day reminds Americans that National Forget-Me-Not Day originated to raise funds for services for returning injured soldiers. At the time, the existing hospitals were insufficient. They still are. To support the number of returning disabled veterans. The Forget-Me-Not is a flower symbolizing remembrance. So Go out and get yourself a flower, I guess, today. The day
Somehow I remember we would tie yellow ribbons around for military.
Yeah, I think that's I was gonna say I think that's a 90s thing, but that Tony Orlando song came out in the 70s.
Tie a yellow ribbon.
Oh, here we go. This is what we do here on the fly. Super
It's been
producer
3
tells us
long years. Do you still? So that would be kind of the forget me not.
What is the origin of tying a yellow ribbon around a tree? Okay, Google super producer. The yellow ribbon, as it's used today, stems from the unlikely mix of the 1973 hit "Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree" by Dawn, featuring Tony Orlando, and the 1979 U.S.-Iranian hostage crisis. Okay, so Tony Orlando invented it, or whoever wrote that song. So that wasn't already an
So it
established.
was for the Iranian hostages.
Yeah, that's when it became popular. That's when
Okay.
when we were kids, I remember that. I remember all the trees had yellow ribbons wrapped
Yep.
around them. Hey, you know what else I remember that was cool? And sometimes when you get into like a cruddy neighborhood that doesn't get a lot of infrastructure help, you can still see remnants of this. Do you remember in 1976 for the bicentennial when every fire hydrant in America was painted red, white, and blue?
I remember that they painted a lot. I didn't know every one, but yeah.
Like every fire hydrant in America was painted red, white, and blue. And when you still, and it lasted for years because, it's however long paint lasts on a fire hydrant. But still, sometimes when you go into like a certain neighborhood, you can see like, the base is still blue or there's still like red underneath, whatever it is, because the paint's cracking or whatever.
Right.
Yep. Those things, our childhood.
Well, we're only about what, 5 years away from something big. It's going to be 250 years. Going to do something.
Is that going to be as big as, will that be a thing?
Wouldn't 250 be bigger than 200? Like a quarter century?
No. Well, I mean, longer for sure, but commemoratively, I think that you go on the 100s.
Well, we better make something about it because I don't think we're going to get to the 300 stage.
No, we're not. Oh, if there's a way to make money off it, you better believe that there's going to be some kind of big 250-year. What is that?
Yeah,
even
but
called?
26 would be like the quarter century or quarter. No, not century. Quarter. 1,000? I don't know. What the hell is that going to be?
I don't know. All right, let's get things started here. We like to do a little moment of joy. This is something that I saw on Twitter today that I loved. This is a local moment of joy. This is a little something cool that I thought we could share with people because I often feel that this is a forgotten man in the history of NFL football. And for some reason, this is going around the internet today. I thought I'd share it with you. It is touchdown Tony Dorsett, a little highlight reel today. Watch this. I always think that he's forgotten, as far as, are we sharing there? Can you see it?
Yep, I can see it.
Let's watch
Starbucks about to hand off to him.
This dude was such a baller. And I remember as a little kid, Walter Payton was my guy, but we always had to worry about two other guys: Earl Campbell with the Oilers and Tony Dorsett with the Cowboys. Now, Tony Dorsett was on the winning team, right? The Cowboys were winning. They were always high profile. Yet, Walter would usually win the rushing title, or Earl Campbell would have the greatest highlights of the season and all that stuff. But it's almost like here we are years and years later. I had to teach my kid about Tony Dorsett. I mean, this was inarguably one of the greatest running backs in the history of the NFL. He played right here. Let's watch some of these TD highlights. Tony Dorsett from the great Dallas Cowboys of the 1970s.
And here comes Dorsett. And there goes Dorsett. Look out.
Look at this dude.
Now it's first down, and here's Tony Dorsett. And Dorsett all the way back. Danny White is the blocker out in front. Hits for the corner. He's got it.
Look, this one.
Big opening for Tony Dorsett. Look out. He's got great speed.
I believe this is still the longest touchdown in Dallas Cowboys history. Do you remember this one on Monday Night Football?
I do.
G-Men? This was badass. Here, let's watch this from the start again. We'll get back to the beginning. Here we go.
So why is it his day today, or you just caught these?
It's not his day. This is just trending. Yeah,
okay.
somebody just started tweeting Tony Dorsett Appreciation Day, or which it's not necessarily a real day, but I watched this and I'm like, damn, man. People forget about Tony Dorsett when people talk about the great running back, and I think it's because he's such a quiet, reserved guy, right? I mean, he's not like, he never went into broadcasting. He never, did all that stuff. Well, I mean, you're actually friends with the family, so you might know more than I do on this. But it seems, Walter Payton died, so there's a whole different realm of love and admiration for that because he died. But Earl Campbell too. But for me as a kid, it was Tony Dorsett and Walter Payton. Watch this run from the end zone.
Big opening for Tony Dorsett. Look out! He's got great speed. 99 yards and a half.
Nice blocking down the sideline. Got to outrun the safety. He's got it.
Stiff arm. Can you believe that?
Jay Saldy. And there goes Tony Dorsett.
Dorsett coming left. He's up to the 30. Breaks to the right, 35, 40. Still on his feet at the 50. One more block. He might go. He's at the 30. He's being chased to the 20, to 15, to 10.
Come on, Tony!
Touchdown,
There you go. I think we always share a little love for the football players that the kids don't remember. I try to show my kid all of that stuff. I try to get my kid into recognizing Bo Jackson. We watched Earl Campbell. We watched Tony Dorsett stuff. He's got pretty good history of the stuff that came before Dalvin Cook, or Ezekiel Elliott or whatever. My kid always does this thing, man. He's obsessed with Madden power rankings,
Oh, right. As are all the players that are in the game. They don't agree with their power rankings a lot of times.
They're moronic. They're obviously skewed to kids today, and they give the short skirt to running backs from the past because I guess kids today playing Madden aren't really interested in that. Like he'll say something like Saquon Barkley has a 99 rating, and that's the highest rating you can get. And I'll say, well, what's Jim Brown? Let me look it up. 96. Kidding me? Madden's got Saquon Barkley rated higher than that may not be.
Can you play Jim Brown in the Madden? Was he in like a retired player? Like he comes out?
I don't know. They'd have to change the game. That dude, nobody could tackle that dude. Nobody could tackle Jim Brown. You want to talk about angry runs? You pull up some Jim Brown highlights, you'll be like, whoa, that dude just ran through entire teams.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. So that's why I always try to get him, to see. Give me Dalvin Cook's got a 99. Oh yeah. What does Tony Dorsett have? 96. What? What? Dalvin Cook, according to the brains at Madden, is a better running back than Tony Dorsett. Really? Yeah. Kids today. What are you gonna do? That's how they roll. I'm sorry. I got another one for you. Okay. This was a day of two moments of joy because I think we need it because we're going to get into some heavy stuff. So here, I wanted to show you this one. This is a crocodile. This was also in trending today. This is trending. Crocodile is trending today. I didn't know why it was trending. It's because of this lady. Watch this. All right. So this lady scares off a crocodile from eating her and her little dog with the mom slipper. The mom slipper, mom takes the slipper off.
Yeah, she looks like she's at some beach that's got like a flood thing going on.
Yeah, she's got a little dog there. Watch the little dog. The little dog knows. The little dog knows something bad's coming. The dog wants none of this heat. Watch this. The dog's like, all right, yeah, I see that thing out there. I'm gonna go over here, mom. Oh, here it comes. Dog. Coming for the dog. Sees the dog. Mama ain't scared. She should be, but she's not. So I'm gonna. She's waving the slipper at the dog. Come on now. Go. Look at that. Even alligators know about the mama slipper.
Yeah.
There you go. That was a good one. All right, let's get into the things that are actually trending today, the things people are talking about. Let's see here. Maybe we do some light stuff first before we get into the big one. Yeah, we're going to go there today, folks. Don't you worry about it. Let me see. Oh, congratulations to Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd has been named People Magazine's Sexiest Man of the Year.
Hmm.
I love
It's interesting.
I love Paul Rudd. I don't know if he's the sexiest man of the year, but if I were gay, I'd probably be hot for him because he just checks all the boxes. He's just awesome in every regard. He's fun. He seems to have a good sense of self. He's self-deprecating. I mean, he's just a really fun. You know, I always say that we need a benevolent dictator in this country, and I've nominated Dave Grohl to be the guy who we just put in the White House and we just make him make all the decisions because Dave Grohl has exhibited a sense of coolness at every turn. He's just a cool, decent guy who doesn't want any trouble. Paul Rudd could be vice president, vice dictator. He could be that. He could be, because Paul Rudd is also. Paul Rudd is People's 2021 Sexiest Man Alive. Paul Rudd says, I'm getting business cards made. See, Paul, he's just funny. That's good for him. I'm going to lean into it hard, the actor says, of earning the crown. I'm going to own this. Good for him.
You ought to.
Yeah. Paul Rudd is having a hard time accepting his new title, People's 2021 Sexiest Man Alive, the 52-year-old actor, which is really good because whenever my kid loves Ant-Man. And of course, Paul Rudd is Ant-Man. My kid loves Ant-Man. And every time he calls me old, I say, I'm younger than Ant-Man. You think Ant-Man is cool? He's older than me. Only by like a couple of months, but he's still. The actor 52 has heard it all. Kind, self-deprecating, affable, hardworking. All labels he's embraced to some degree. But sexy? That's a little outside his wheelhouse. I do have an awareness enough to know that when people hear that I'd be picked for this year, they would say, what? The actor tells People in this week's cover story. This is not false humility. There are so many people that should get this before me. I mean, I guess. Who was last year? Was it last year like Jason Momoa? You know,
I don't know.
I don't either. This is not really something that I follow, but I like Paul Rudd and he's trending, and we do a show about things that are trending. Such humble deflection coupled with those gorgeous green eyes and easy grin is exactly why audiences have fallen in love with Paul Rudd over the years. This month alone, he's streaming with Will Ferrell's new Apple TV. See, that's the thing about him. I wonder if he can do drama. I don't know that I've ever seen Paul Rudd do like really hard drama because all of his films are funny. They're humorous. Like he teams with Will Ferrell a lot, most famously in the Anchorman movies where he plays the, what was it, Steel Panther or whatever the clone was that he wears to get women. Is exactly why audiences have fallen in love with him over the years. This month alone, he's streaming in with Will Ferrell for the new Apple TV series, The Shrink Next Door, and taking on one of Hollywood's most treasured franchises with Ghostbusters Afterlife. I didn't know that. Despite his rise to leading man superstardom, Rudd insists he's happy at home, most happy at home, with his wife of 18 years. 18 years! Paul Rudd could get anybody for the last 18 years. He's been with the same woman. That's another one. You got to,
yeah. So he can really lean into that sexiest man of the year
at home. Yeah,
at home, right?
Do the dishes, honey. Sexiest man of the year doesn't do dishes,
right?
Despite his rise to superstardom, Rudds insists that he's most happy at home with his wife of 18 years, Julie, 53, and their kids, Jack, 17, and Darby, 12. When I think about myself, I think of myself as a husband and a father. Like, I'm that, he says. I just hang out with my family when I'm not working. That's what I kind of like to do most. The actor's wife was the only person he told ahead of time about his new title. She was stupefied, he says, but she was very sweet about it. After some giggling and shock, she said, "Oh, they got it right." And that was very sweet. She was probably not telling the truth, but what is she going to say? Rudd is also expecting his circle of friends to give him so much grief. As they should. I would, he allows. I mean, I'm going to lean into it hard. I'm going to own this. I'm going to try to be like, oh, I'm so modest. I'm getting business cards made. But all of my friends will destroy me, and I expect them to. And that's why they're my friends.
Right.
Now that he's officially sexy, Rudd anticipates his life changing a lot, he says. I'm hoping now that I'll finally be invited to some of those sexy dinners with Clooney and Pitt, he says, and I figure I'll be on a lot more yachts. I'm excited to expand my yachting life, Rudd says. And I'll probably try to get better at brooding in really soft light. I like to ponder. I think this is going to help me become more inward and mysterious, and I'm looking forward to that. So there you go. Paul Rudd on being named People Magazine's sexiest dude alive. Okay, what else do we got? Oh, he's still trending too. Look at that. He's still trending at number 2. All right. So there are a couple other things that we can get into on today's show, but let's start with the big news, an area that I didn't really, I hadn't really been going to, but today is the big day of days. We're going to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse situation because Kyle Rittenhouse is trending right now. Did you get to watch any of the...
I did. I watched a lot of it. I was actually watching it before you texted me to watch it.
Oh, good. Couple of things. Kyle Rittenhouse is the kid from Antioch, Illinois, who drove to Kenosha, Wisconsin during the Kenosha protests a couple of years ago now. Originated with the Kenosha police shooting and killing Jacob Blake. Kenosha was going nuts. People took to the streets. People were burning things. It was all out pandemonium. Kyle Rittenhouse joined with a group of people, according to him, to protect a car dealership that had suffered over $1 million worth of damage the night before. And so a bunch of people, they armed up and they went there. He says that he went there. Well, you know what? You know what I think we should do? Let's just lay out what happened, and then we'll talk about all the things that we saw here, okay? Because this is one of them very polarizing situations. This is a deal where I don't think people are thinking straight on this, on both sides. Okay, so at the time of the Kenosha unrest, Kyle Rittenhouse was 17 years old. He had participated in local police cadet programs, and he had expressed support on social media for the Blue Lives Matter movement and law enforcement. At the time, Rittenhouse lived in Antioch, Illinois, 1 mile south of the border with Wisconsin. And that's something else that needs to be addressed because there's a lot of people who are leaning hard into, he drove all the way from Illinois into Wisconsin and Kenosha. Dude, he lives in Antioch. Kenosha is like 10 minutes away. I mean, the border is right there. It's like going from Plano to Frisco. It's really not. So people need to stop thinking that this kid took some major undertaking in driving all the way to Kenosha. Let's see here. According to his attorneys, after Rittenhouse had heard about a local business owner who wanted help defending his car dealership, he and his friends Dominic Black armed themselves with rifles and went to that business. The dealership had suffered $1.5 million in arson damage the previous night. When Daily Caller reporter Richie McGinnis asked Rittenhouse why he was at the car dealership that night, he responded, "So people are getting injured, and our job is to protect this business. Part of my job is also to help people. If there is somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way. That's why I have my rifle, because I have to protect myself." He then went on to say, "I also have my med kit." At some point, Rittenhouse left the dealership and was prevented by police from returning to his post. In the hours leading up to the shooting, Rittenhouse appeared in multiple videos by protesters and bystanders, including in 2 interviews, one by a live streamer at the car dealership where he and a number of other armed men had stationed themselves. The other by Daily Caller reporter McGinnis. Rittenhouse was seen talking with police officers and offering medical aid to those who were injured. Some of the men at the dealership were affiliated with the Kenosha Guard, but they denied any affiliation with Rittenhouse, and their leader said he had never communicated with him. So there were a number of confrontations that led to the death of 2 people and the injuring of a third. The 5 confrontations and subsequent shooting took place shortly before midnight on August 25th, 2020, along Sheridan Road, Kenosha, where protesters went after clashes with law enforcement and being expelled from the Civic Center Park. Protesters were recorded on video pushing a burning dumpster through a crowd towards a gas station. A guard dressed in similar clothing to Rittenhouse, a green shirt, cap, and bag, put out the dumpster fire, which enraged Rosenbaum, who was one of the victims, who shouted at the guard. More arson took place and was recorded on video. Rittenhouse was then seen running with a fire extinguisher. According to Rittenhouse's defense attorneys, what was not recorded on video was that he used it to put out one of the fires, which provoked a confrontation by Rosenbaum, who mistook Rittenhouse for the guard who had put out the dumpster fire earlier. First major confrontation. The beginning of the first confrontation between Rittenhouse and Rosenbaum was witnessed by McGinnis, to whom it seemed that Rosenbaum and the other protesters were moving towards Rittenhouse, who was trying to evade them. Rosenbaum then tried to engage Rittenhouse, but Rittenhouse managed to avoid this by sidestepping and running away. FBI infrared footage taken from an overhead airplane captured the shooting of Rosenbaum and the events immediately preceding it. The remainder of Rosenbaum's confrontation and the following incidents with Huber and Grosskreutz were recorded in cell phone footage from multiple angles, including the moment of the shooting. Video footage showed Rittenhouse being pursued across a parking lot by Rosenbaum, who threw something in Rittenhouse's direction, identified as a plastic bag. How do you throw a plastic bag? At any rate, as Rittenhouse was running from Rosenbaum, a shot could be heard from Joshua Zeminski, who fired a self-described warning shot into the air, causing Rittenhouse to stop running and turn towards the sound of Zeminski's shot. Daily Caller reporter McGinnis stated that the sound of the shot was the moment Rittenhouse went from running away to aiming his weapon. Then, according to Kenosha County prosecutor, Rosenbaum engaged Rittenhouse and tried to take his rifle from him. Rittenhouse then fired 4 shots, hitting Rosenbaum in the groin, back, and left hand. The bullets fractured Rosenbaum's pelvis, perforated his right lung and liver, and caused additional minor wounds to his left thigh and forehead. Rittenhouse remained near Rosenbaum as McGinnis began administering first aid to Rosenbaum. McGinnis is the reporter. According to detectives, Rittenhouse was heard saying, "I just killed somebody," on his cell phone while he was running. Rosenbaum died shortly after. Second major confrontation. Video from another angle then showed Rittenhouse being chased down the street by several protesters, one of whom allegedly struck him from behind in the back of the head, knocking off his cap. Shortly after, Rittenhouse tripped and fell to the ground, according to the criminal complaint. At that point, protesters were heard on 2 different videos yelling, beat him up, get him, get that dude, and get his ass." One of the men who had been chasing him allegedly jumped and kicked Rittenhouse while he was still on the ground. Rittenhouse fired twice, but missed the man. Next, according to court records and video footage, another protester, Anthony Huber, made contact with Rittenhouse's left shoulder with a skateboard as the pair struggled for control of the gun. As Huber was pulling on the rifle, Rittenhouse fired once, hitting Huber in the chest, perforating his heart and right lung, causing rapid death. Third major confrontation. Gage Grosskreutz, who believed Rittenhouse was an active shooter, approached Rittenhouse while he was still on the ground, but stopped and put his hands up when Huber was shot. A complaint filed by the Kenosha County clerk stated that Grosskreutz appeared to be holding a handgun, which Grosskreutz later confirmed. When Grosskreutz moved again towards Rittenhouse, Rittenhouse shot Grosskreutz in the arm, severing most of his right bicep. At least 16 gunshots from other sources were heard on video during this time that Rittenhouse was on the ground. Rittenhouse subsequently got back to his feet and walked towards police with his hands up and the rifle strapped across his chest. The police did not appear to acknowledge Rittenhouse and allowed him to leave, though several witnesses and protesters were shouting for him to be arrested. When asked at a press conference why Rittenhouse was not stopped, Kenosha Sheriff David Beth said, "In situations that are high stress, you have such incredible tunnel vision," and implied that officers may not have realized he had been involved in the shooting. Likewise, Kenosha Police Chief Daniel Miskinis said that there was nothing to suggest this individual was involved in any criminal behavior due to the fact that someone walking towards the police with their hands up was no longer abnormal. in the wake of the protests. Okay. So those are the things that happened. He's being charged with the murder of 2 people. He took the stand in his own defense today, which if you had told me this yesterday, I would have said that's a bad idea. But this kid did really good on the stand. This kid showed himself to be, look, this is very politically polarized. So we got to take this. Got to take this for what it is. He's on trial for the murder of 2 people. Do you have any thoughts? I mean, you were watching it, so that's how it played out. So,
let me say the thoughts I had before today and the thoughts I have after watching him take the stand and testify on his behalf today are entirely different. Like, I think that the attorney that's representing him made a really good call by letting this kid take the stand.
I do too.
Like, I mean, not to mention that the prosecutor just kept on stepping all over himself, and he got, the judge just eviscerated him, with everything he was trying to say and do. I don't think he's going to jail.
I don't either. I think that he is going to. I think that there's a very good chance that this is going to be a mistrial, just judging by the judge and the way the judge and the prosecutor have been going at it all morning. And we can play this for you. This is from earlier today. This is the judge just going off on the prosecutor. Prosecutor, I'm not a fan of this prosecutor, this Gary Oldman looking dude. Can you see it? Is it showing?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, I apologize. I didn't do that right. I mean, I'll get into what I really. We'll get it. Let's play this, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so here's the judge just about an hour ago. Here.
My understanding of
you should have come and asked for reconsideration. You did on the one motion, and in fact, I granted your motion for reconsideration.
That was not our motion.
Excuse me. I did. I granted.
We did not move
that
to
reconsider.
That was
their motion.
We have not filed any motions to reconsider in this case.
That was their motion for reconsideration, which I denied. But I said I denied it, or I indicated a bias towards denial is what I did. Held it open with a bias towards denial. Why would you think that made it okay for you, without any advance notice, to bring this matter before the jury? I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years. I have no idea why you would do something like that. And it gives, I'll leave it at that. So I don't know what you're up to.
May I respond?
Yes.
We filed an other acts motion on this exact issue because, in my mind, and I argued this, it is identical to what was going on the night of August 25th, in the sense that the defendant was using this exact same weapon. He was using it in a manner to try and protect property.
No, he wasn't.
Your Honor, with all due respect,
I'm not going to rehash the motion. That's absolutely untrue. No. Your argument's of record. My comments are of record, and why I ruled as I did is of record. There's nothing that I heard in this trial to suggest that anything's changed. Even if you're correct in your assumption that you know more than I did at the time, you should have come to the court and say, I want to go into this. Why you would think that you could go into it without any...
Okay, so there you go. The judge basically went off on that's not good. That's not good for the prosecution.
Well, I mean, it's dumb. Like, it's just, you can't comment on a guy's not speaking up because he has the right to remain silent. Yeah. I mean, that's just as simple as it gets. And he was trying to use that against him, which is what dug him this hole. And then once he got in that hole, he just kept on flailing and getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
Here's what I think. I think that this kid is going to be found not guilty of the charges of murder. Long story short, I think he's going to walk. But I'll go one step further. I don't think he should be found guilty of murder. I don't, and this is where it gets very polarizing. This is where people get very upset, because I talked about this yesterday while you were laid up sick. I went into a rant about the crazy 10% on the right and the crazy 10% on the left. And the rest of us, the 80%, we're somewhere in the middle, leaning one way or the other, but we're not burning shit down. We're not going to attack the Capitol. That's not who we are. We can have our arguments and our fights over Thanksgiving dinner, but is the 10% on the right and the 10% on the left is what we're dealing with here. This kid was a 17-year-old kid, and I'm sorry, but at 17, you're allowed to be a complete fuck up. You're allowed to have crazy views. You're allowed to be a dumb kid at 17. And yes, there are a lot of things you learn about this kid. He's homeschooled, his parents are, very, how do you say it? They might be QAnon people is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? They might be that far over in that direction. And this kid, I believe to some extent with his political ideology has been radicalized over the last couple of years. I mean, think about the kid. He's 17 years old. The last 3-4 years of his life, his formative years as a thinker, as a critical mind, have been polluted by this insane era that we live in. He's definitely one of the people who are not in favor of the police protests and all of that kind of stuff. And you might dislike him. If you are a progressive or a liberal, you might look at this kid and go, ugh, I hate these people. And if you're on the right, you might think, yes, he's one of our heroes out there. But if you can just get rid of all of that political bullshit, this kid, in my estimation, didn't go out to hunt and kill people. This kid was being chased. I've watched the videos. We're not going to show the videos here. This kid, in my mind, had a reasonable expectation that he was about to get really hurt, really jacked up. So, I mean, it's a self-defense thing to me. And I honestly think I think that the outcome is tragic. I think it's just gross that we're having to deal with this situation as it is because of how polarized politically we've all become. But if you're telling me that this 17-year-old kid needs to spend the rest of his life in jail for a double murder, I'm going to push back on that. That seems wrong. That seems, and this kid, he walks, he'll be lionized by a very scary portion of that 10% on the right. He'll have a career. He'll get his own show on Newsmax if he wants it. You know what I mean? His podcast, if he decides to do one, will be freaking huge, but we can't control that. What we need to do is we need to just look at the circumstances. I saw the dude bashing his head with a skateboard. If I had a gun and some dude was bashing me with a skateboard, I might use whatever I might think that my skull is about to be caved in here on Sheridan Road in Kenosha, and I might, do whatever it takes to survive. All of the other stuff. Why did he go? Why did he have a gun? That's not what he's on trial for. He's on trial for the murder of 2 people. And I don't know that you can necessarily cut and dry say that, oh yeah, he's a murderer. An unfortunate situation was going on. He took part in it. Against all of our better judgment, he took part in it. But let's also point out that you cannot burn down a city because you don't like the way the police handled a situation. The murder of Jacob Blake was tragic. It was terrible. And you can be upset, and you can protest, and you can gather, and you can have your signs, and you can scream, and you can block traffic, and you can do all of that stuff. But the minute, and I watched the entire Kenosha situation unfold, because Kenosha is not far at all from where I'm from. I've been to Kenosha a million times. I have driven Sheridan Road in Kenosha. It's the lakefront. You just go. Kenosha is the first normal city. I mean, there's farm and stuff, but it's the first normal place where you would stop if you're driving between Chicago and Milwaukee. It's right there. And I watched what was going on in Kenosha, and even as someone who leans progressive, I was like, oh, this ain't good. Just as I felt about Minneapolis. oh, this ain't good. Or Ferguson, I understand the anger, but we have to control our emotions. I make no distinction between the actions that occurred in Kenosha that night, or in Minneapolis, or in Ferguson, or in Portland, wherever you want to say it. I make no distinction between that and the actions on January 6th. It's all barbarism. Barbarism on the right, barbarism on the left. This was mayhem. This kid had a gun. Should he have had a gun? I don't think so. But hey, we live in a country that doesn't agree with that point of view. So
yeah, I mean, I think, hindsight being 2020, he probably wishes now he didn't go there that night. But he went there with an AR-15. He went there with a med kit. He went there with body armor that he had in his truck that he ended up giving to one of the guys that he was there with. He claimed he had the body armor in his truck for a long time. The choice of the AR-15, he said, was because
he's a good guy.
It's illegal.
That's a different issue, though.
Yeah, no, it's illegal for him to carry a pistol. I believe that, illegal for him to carry a pistol or AR-15. He's still choosing the AR-15. That's just my belief. But when I heard him testify, it appeared to me like he was in this one-person shooter game. He was being challenged by a guy, with potentially a chain that threw a bag at him. He thought it was a chain. Tell him, hey, he's going to cut his heart out. He had 2 confrontations with that guy. The first one, he tried to run away from him. The second one, he ended up shooting him. The other guy bats him upside the head with a skateboard. Another guy kicks him in the face. I mean,
is he supposed to just take it?
Well, I would think
a lot of people in the chat room say that he shouldn't have been there. No, he shouldn't have been there. But neither should the people who were burning down gas stations have been there. I mean, this whole situation was fucked up. It's not like he stepped out into the street, aimed his gun at people, and just started shooting them. He wasn't just hunting people. I don't like the situation at all. And I think people who know me, a lot of them are probably pretty shocked that they're hearing me offer this defense of the kid. But the kid was being chased. The kid was being hunted.
Well,
it was mayhem.
Yeah, the other thing that struck me, and again, you don't get this unless he's testifying, is he tried to turn himself in. Like somebody who's out there to do bad and ends up shooting somebody. I don't see them running down to the police station and going, hey, I'm the guy who did it. He, in his own mind, right or wrong, thought he was defending himself and thought he was put in a position that he needed to use deadly force because he was in fear of his life.
And I believe he was. I believe he was in fear of his life. And that's the long and the short of it for me. I mean, if my buddy Tom says the right doesn't need to control their emotions, just the left, that is wrong. That is not what I said. If the left people had been out there with AR-15 rifles, it would have been even worse. The left are the people who were burning shit down. The left were the people who caused this whole, well, again, that's not exactly correct. It stems from a police incident. But I mean, there are no good guys here. The simple question is this kid guilty of murdering 2 people? And I don't think he is. I think that there's too much gray area involved here. Maybe the charges were wrong. You might be able to get him on some other charge, but the charges as they stand are this kid murdered people. I don't think he did. And I don't like the kid. I think the kid seems like a little moron. Right. But I also think the guy chasing him down and trying to beat his head in with a skateboard is a moron too.
Yeah. Or the guy throwing the bag at him when he realizes he's got a right. Like, I mean, there's just not a bunch of good judgment at any step of the way here on either side of this equation.
No.
I mean, how do you see somebody with an AR-15 that's 17 or 18 years old? I mean, you got to think, come on.
And he only fired it when he was, I mean, look, I've seen the video, right? He shouldn't have had the gun. He shouldn't have been in the position to be firing it, but he was still you can't look. We've got a very lefty leaning chat room, and I'm sorry. I think people are just letting their personal politics cloud the facts of what this is all about. I'm not happy that this little goon, and I think he's a little goon. And I think he's got a lot of fucked up things in his head. I think that he thinks a lot of things that are wrong. But I also think that the people who thought, hey, let's turn this trash bin on fire and see if we can blow up the gas station, I think they're just as fucking wrong. How many people could have died if the gas station had blown up?
Well,
I mean, everybody in the situation is wrong. The question here is he going to walk? And I think he's going to walk.
I mean, I think he's conflicted when he's running around with a medic bag and he's carrying an AR-15. Like in the military, generally the guys that have the medic bag are not carrying guns. And so that to me was somewhat odd. And then I think the prosecutor and him touched on, he had bought a sling for the gun. And when he was administering some first aid to somebody, he had actually taken the gun off of his body in order that he could administer first aid because the gun was hitting the ground. And so a lot of his thoughts and plans, I think, were misguided to begin with.
Of course they are. His head is filled with bullshit. He's an impressionable young man who's been radicalized.
What made him decide that he wanted to go protect Car Source? He started out going down there to wash off some graffiti, and then next thing you know, he's armed with an AR-15 protecting a car lot. You can't justify shooting somebody because they're doing damage to a car. Now,
but he didn't.
Right. And then that's what I was going to say in the next breath. So he didn't shoot anybody for that reason. He shot people for a reason that he was in fear of his life. And that's why I don't think he's going to go to jail.
Here, Tom says, as soon as you point the gun and pull the trigger, your intent is to kill somebody. Well, I don't know. I think that motive plays a big factor in this. If he had waded out into the street and said, look at that asshole with the burning garbage can, I'm going to squeeze one off and put that monkey down, that's a bad motive. That to me says murder. This kid was being chased. This kid, video and witnesses on the scene said that he was running away from the conflict when somebody squeezed off a handgun in the air as a way to like, hey, stop. He had a gun. At that point, I think it's reasonable to think somebody is shooting at me. It's time for me to take this to the next level. Should he have had a gun? No. Should he have been there? No. But neither should the people who were trashing the city. This is what I'm talking about. Come on, folks. We need to be in the 80% here. There are no good guys either on the right 10% or the left 10% in this situation. And if you believe that a proper civic response to a terrible situation involving the police and a guy who got killed is to burn the city down, then you're fucking crazy. You're also in that crazy 10%. Just as this kid, who was a little keyboard jockey playing online, found a chat room that said, hey, we're mobilizing people to protect the interests of Kenosha. This kid was radicalized. He saw this as his opportunity to be a hero. Is he right? No, he's not right. Is he a cold-blooded murderer? No, he's also not that. He didn't just squeeze off rounds indiscriminately hoping to kill people. He was running for his life. Now, you either have to believe that he was running for his life or you don't. I'm telling you, I believe he was scared and running for his life. It's unfortunate he had a gun. Or I don't know, maybe he's dead. Maybe he's in a coma. Maybe he never walks again or can ever function as a normal person with a brain that's been turned to mush because there were people trying to kick the shit out of him right there in the street. And it didn't seem like anybody was there to help him. Right? It's not up for debate that he was running away from the conflict when he was hunted down.
I think there needs to be, though, and I don't know, murder is probably not the right charge, but there needs to be some consequence for bringing an AR-15 to a demonstration. I mean, because if not for that AR-15, 2 people aren't dead. He's not legally supposed to have it. I guess the jury's still out on that. Maybe he is allowed to possess it, but he's not allowed to buy it. I couldn't get that straight from the prosecutor.
Adam
Seemed to
Reyna is
be-
conflating two things. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Adam
Okay.
Reyna is conflating the protests with the vandalism. The protests were occurring at the Civic Hall. The police shut it down and the crowd moved and got angry, and then they stopped being protesters and they began being thugs and hooligans, burning the city down. Adam, do not conflate these two incidents. Do not say that the people who were attempting to blow up the gas station or burning down car dealerships were protesters. They were not protesters. They were rioters. They crossed a line at some point. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, the only thing that it's like you show up to a protest with an AR-15 and you're 17 and 2 people end up dead, and you're going to claim, well, okay, you were in fear of your life. I mean, I'm sure there were people that were in fear of their life that didn't have a gun, that saw people with guns or you with your AR-15, and you didn't end up dead or you didn't end up getting shot. Now, it's just, it's a really ugly bag of a mess, I mean, for lack of a better word. And the one thing that strikes me just as I look at the TV screen right now, if we were looking at a kid that was black, if we were looking at a kid that was a Muslim, I don't think he would be getting as much sympathy as this kid's being afforded.
Jeff Glenn says, so the kid hears random gunshots and interprets that he's in danger. But the people he'd been pointing guns at all night don't have the right to feel threatened and attempt to defend themselves. Where do you get that he's been pointing guns at people all night? I haven't heard that charge. He had a gun, but pointing guns at people all night, that's not anything that's been raised by either the defense or the prosecution. I don't know where that comes from. And I've been watching this every day. Haven't been talking about it because it hasn't really been as powerful as it is today.
I think there was something on his TikTok page, like this happened on the 25th. And I think on his TikTok page, it was on the 10th. He said he wished he had his AR-15 so he could protect people from or basically stop people from shoplifting.
Yeah. Leslie, he had an automatic weapon. Yeah, he did. Automatic weapons are everywhere in our society. You got a problem with that? We got to change other laws. He had a gun. He was protecting it. He believed that he was there to administer medical help and to keep people away from this car dealership that he had apparently self-appointed himself as one of the guardians of. But this whole idea that people are trying to paint this kid like he was out there on a rooftop just sniping at people. He wasn't. He's a dumb, stupid kid who in our culture has been radicalized. He's a dumb kid. But he's no dumber than the people who were burning down buildings. Those people are just as dumb. It's like you people want to excuse the barbaric actions of half of the group and only focus on this one kid.
Well, but I mean, okay, so forget what he's currently charged with. Do you think he should just walk from this?
Well, you know what? As far as the murder charges, yes. I don't think that he should be charged with murder, but I do think that there are some gun violations. He was in possession of a firearm that he wasn't legally old enough to possess. He was borrowing it from his friend Dominic Black or Vincent Black, something like that.
Dominic Black.
Yeah. He wasn't even allowed to buy it. Somebody else bought it, and then he was using it. So those are gun charges. Those are totally different things. So let's address that. But what we're talking about here is this kid guilty of murdering these 2 people?
Well, I think the concept that he's on the job as a minor with an AR-15 strikes me as a little bit. He wouldn't be allowed to do that anywhere else. Like, I would not hire him as my security if I owned a bar. I would not hire him as my security.
No.
So that concept in itself, there's got to be some repercussion for that. I mean, you just can't show up as a 17-year-old with an AR-15 and go, here I am, gun for hire.
Look at this. It's not his right. Adam says it's not his right or place to prevent those actions. No, it's not the right. It's not, but it's also not the place of the people who were rioting in the city. He is not. This whole situation was fucked up. The question is, did he murder two people because he wanted to murder, because he's a murderer? No. I think the facts state pretty clearly in video evidence and everything that he was running away from a situation and was being hunted. Should he have had a gun to defend himself? I don't think so, but he did. Did he have a right to defend himself? Which means the legal question is, did he have a reasonable expectation that he was about to suffer a grave injury? That's how.
What happened to him after he shot the first guy? What happened to him after he shot the first guy, I don't think happens to him unless he shot the first guy. Like, I think, when you pull off 4 rounds in the middle of a mob like that, and then you're seen running and people notice that some guy got shot, there are probably other people that are going to chase you down. And that's how he got himself into, the other encounters.
Let's do this again. Let's go over the stated facts of the first confrontation. The beginning of the first confrontation between Rittenhouse and Rosenbaum was witnessed by McGinnis, to whom it seemed that Rosenbaum and other protesters were moving towards Rittenhouse. All right, so he's there, and an eyewitness is saying that people were moving towards him. I'm going to add menacingly, because I don't think people who are out there burning down the city are going up to give him a hug and tell him, good job, kid. McGinnis, to whom it seemed Rosenbaum and other protesters were moving towards Rittenhouse, who was trying to evade them. Rittenhouse was trying to get out of the situation. If he was a murderer, he wouldn't have been trying to get out of the situation. He would have just opened fire at that point.
But didn't he almost kind of put himself in the police officer uniform by carrying an AR-15?
He's a cosplayer. Yeah, he's a stupid kid. He's dumb. He's been radicalized. This is a problem on the right and the left. This is what I'm talking about. Rosenbaum then tried to engage Rittenhouse, but Rittenhouse managed to avoid this by sidestepping and running away. FBI infrared footage taken from an overhead airplane captured the shooting of Rosenbaum and the events immediately preceding it. The remainder of Rosenbaum's confrontation and the following incidents with Huber and Grosskreutz were recorded in cell phone footage from multiple angles, including the moment of the shooting. Video footage showed Rittenhouse being pursued across a parking lot by Rosenbaum. He's being chased, who threw something in Rittenhouse's direction. As Rittenhouse was running from Rosenbaum, a shot could be heard from Joshua Zeminski, who fired a self-described warning shot into the air. Oh, a warning shot. You're a good guy. I am running for my life, being chased. I'm trying to evade a bunch of people who are coming at me because they hate that I'm a right-wing MAGA fool. And I hear a gunshot. I happen to have a gun. At that point, doesn't a reasonable people go, all right, well, I either become a victim or I stand and fight. I have a gun. I'm now hearing bullets being exchanged. You want to exchange bullets? I mean, that's not a murderer. That's not somebody. He was running away. This is...
but he's running away because he's got himself into a place with a gun that he shouldn't have been in. And he's not really thinking clearly when he runs into this situation as a 17-year-old with an AR-15. I mean, I'm not saying he got what he deserved, but he kind of put himself in a place where bad things are probably going to happen, and here they did.
Okay, so he stops running when he hears the gun shot, the warning shot that the guy who shot it admits was a warning shot. So now he stops running and he turns and he has the gun. Rittenhouse, here it is. According to Kenosha County prosecutor, Rosenbaum then, after he stops, walks right up to Rittenhouse, who is holding the gun, and tries to take the rifle from him. He's already heard gunshots he doesn't know where it's coming from. He knows he's being chased. This guy, he's now like, don't move, don't come near me. And this guy engages him and tries to steal the gun away from him. Now
he's scared.
That's when the first incident occurred. That's a tragic situation for all involved. A bunch of dummies got together and did dumb shit, but you cannot tell me that that's a murder. If it was a murder, then before the dude even got to being close enough to grab the gun, he would have shot him dead in his tracks. I mean, intent and motive have to play a factor here. I think that he thought, shit, they take my gun. Now I am dead. This is not Byron Granger. He is not a hero. Do not make that argument. Nobody involved in this fucked up soup of morons are heroes. These people are all fucking idiots. And this is what happens when idiots bump into each other.
Yeah.
Rittenhouse remained near Rosenbaum, and McGinnis began administering first aid to Rosenbaum. According to detectives, Rittenhouse was heard saying, "I just killed somebody," on his cell phone while he was running. Rosenbaum died shortly afterwards. The question that I am grappling with is this kid guilty of double murder and should spend the rest of his life in jail? And I'm telling you, no. This is all a bad situation. It's ridiculous. There's so much to unpack here. But if we're talking about whether or not this kid went out with his gun to kill people, that would be what the conviction would have to say. They would have to find that he went out with intent to kill people, that the murder was the motive he had. I don't think he did. I think the only motive that I'm seeing is that he was scared shitless and unfortunately had an AR-15. And I think he was reasonably scared. I think he saw buildings being burned down, people trying to blow up a gas station with a garbage can filled with flames. Look, it's madness.
I agree, it's madness, but he is the one who put himself into that madness.
All right, but what about
bringing an AR-15 into that madness and two people ending up dead because you shot them? For you to just walk and there be no consequences. If I'm sitting on that jury, I've got a problem with that. Now, do I think he decided prior to going there that he was going to kill people? No. Do I think he decided prior to going there that he was going to,
he's going to defend,
the car dealership and take the right stand against these lefties? Yes. How he puts himself in that position, not contemplating that he could actually end up to pull the trigger to kill somebody, that I don't know. And so now if I'm thinking I'm 17 and I'm not supposed to have this gun, and now all of a sudden I'm going out and I'm being hired as security for a car dealership, bunch of bad decisions, dude.
Of course, he's a stupid 17-year-old kid. And that's why I don't think he should spend the rest of his life in prison, because 17-year-old kids make stupid, especially ones that have been radicalized and their formative years have been the last 5. Look, I know grown-ass men who have been radicalized because they're not really strong up there. You know what I mean? Their brains are mush and they hear what they like and they're like, oh, I like to hear that, so I'm going to be that way now. And I'm talking about people on both the right and the left. Reason is not something that anybody leans into anymore. It's just all about one side or the other. This goes back to my argument about the 10% of fucking morons on the right and the 10% of fucking morons on the left. And then there's 80% of us in the middle here who are just trying to live. We're just trying to make it through the day. We don't want to argue with everybody. But I'm no fan of this kid. I'm also no fan of the rioters. How is that so confusing?
No,
All right, let's take a look at this kid. This was one of the big moments in the trial today. He actually was recounting. Is that the word? Recounting? Well, it certainly isn't recanting. He was discussing the moments, before the shooting, and this was pretty powerful. This is going to affect the jury, man. Sorry, this is another reason why I'm saying that I think that this kid is going to walk. All right, here we go. Is it shared? Can you see it?
No, not shared yet.
No, why do I keep doing this the wrong way? Man, I'll tell you what, though.
And Byron points out that by law, he can carry a AR just like he could carry a shotgun.
I'd like to see that law. I'm not sure that's true.
Well, I know it is when it comes to shotguns and the difference between shotguns and pistols. If an AR is classified there, Wow. That's all I got to say.
Hold on, let me see. Where am I? Are we shared? Okay, so yeah, it's not this one. It's not that one. All right, here we go. Yeah. All right, this is a big moment. The judge gave him a moment, but they had to break for about 10 minutes. Here you go.
Died. And I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski.
Who had a gun?
And
there's the pictures.
There were 3 people right there.
Take a deep breath, pal.
That ain't a hero. That's a scared baby right here.
Whatever.
That's a cosplay warrior.
That's right, run.
We're going to just take time for our break anyway. You can just relax for a minute, sir. We're going to take a break about 10 minutes, and please don't talk about the case during the break. Read what.
All right, so a lot of people online are saying, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that. No, that's real. That kid is an emotional mess. That kid is starting for the first time in his life to realize that his brain was polluted by garbage and he made some really stupid decisions, and he's finding himself in a situation now where his life could be over. I don't think it is. But do you think that's faking? I mean, there are literally
I think he's feeling the pain of the fact that he killed 2 people. I think he's feeling the pressure of the fact that he could be behind bars.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's, this whole spectacle, his life has been turned, I'm sure, upside down. I do believe that there is remorse there. But at the same time, it's not much different than the guy that gets behind the wheel that's drunk,
Yeah.
Except in this case, he wasn't drunk.
Let me address Byron. Byron, scared baby. He feels terrible for the harm that was done. Jeez, man. Yeah, he does. And you're taking baby in the pejorative when I'm talking about the fact that he's a child. This is a kid. This is a kid who is scared to death about the rest of his life. I'm not calling him a baby like fucking baby. So, relax. Stop jumping conclusions. That's what I said. That's a scared baby, the way his mom might describe. That is a child who is put in a situation that he wasn't old enough or emotionally responsible enough to handle. That's what I meant by scared baby.
I think more 17 years old. I think more 17, 15, 16-year-olds need to see this in order to understand that you just don't show up to these types of things with a gun. I mean, why you're thinking, that's the whole thing about it. It's how he got himself put in this situation at 17. That's not a 17-year-old's place.
No, it's not. And look at Leslie, who, presents herself as a very heartfelt, thoughtful individual. Oh, too bad he was coached well by his attorneys. No, man, that was a real emotional break from a kid who realizes that the shit is hit the fan. That was real emotion right there. That kid wasn't faking. Now you can say, well, he shouldn't have been in that position. Okay, but have a heart. Be a human being. I mean, this kid, well, I don't have any love for this kid and the stupid decisions that he made. I don't have any love for the people who were chasing him through a parking lot. I mean, we're talking about idiots going up against idiots. There isn't one set of heroes here. A 17-year-old. Now, apparently this Wisconsin guard, which I need to make sure of something. This is not the National Guard, okay? These are not troops. This is Wisconsin Guard is one of these militia groups, right? Grown-ass men who have also been radicalized. Those are the people that were there protecting the car dealership. And that is the group that this Kyle Rittenhouse kid found their little 4chan thread or whatever and decided that he was going to go join them. This is a child, 17-year-old kid. What? Dumb kid, just a dumb kid. I just don't think he's a murderer. Looks like the court is resuming now. Court resumes in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. All right. Can we be done with this? Can we move on? Because
I just, I think there's got to be some consequence. I just don't know what that is.
Of course not, because we're not lawyers and we're not talking about that. And we're not speculating about what his intent was or anything like that. I'm simply telling you that from all that I've seen this past week about this trial, these are not murder charges. This kid is not going to be, this kid's going to walk.
I don't think he's going to be charged with murder.
And he is charged with murder, convicted.
No, I don't think he's going to be. That's why
there is absolutely no way. And I will also say that the prosecutor sucks. The prosecutor for the Kenosha County or whatever the hell he is way behind the 8 ball.
He had a bad day, and I don't know that he's going to be able to fix it. The defense moved for a mistrial, and the judge at this point denied it, but said he would take it under advisement. And that was after they came back.
Who was posting as Pugs Company?
Why move on this is the best segment.
Who the hell is posting as Pugs Company?
I don't know.
I'm going to end the show right now.
It's probably Ed.
How would they be posting as?
Because we're administrators on the page, dude.
Oh, I see it. It's not my personal one. Oh, okay. Then we're all right.
Chill, dude.
It's Ed. Okay, Ed, you're fine. All right. I don't like. Well, no, I'm a little bit sketchy on that because on Sunday night when my kid was in the other room, he was posting. And no, Ed, you're fine. No, you are totally fine. You're able to do that. You're definitely part of the N Company. I was just confused for a minute. I thought that it was my personal page, which my son was posting on, and I was like, this is not for my kid. I do not want my damn kid to be involved in this. So I was about to end the show. It was what is it? Lunchtime? What is my kid doing that he's like screwing around? And how did he get access to my Facebook page? Which
I was like, that's probably one of us.
Look, folks, all we need to do is recognize that there are crazy people all over the place, on the right, on the left, and let's just all try and get in the middle, that 80%, and we don't have to like everybody. We don't have to be cool with everybody, but let's just not be a dick. Let's just be cool, man.
Well, the thing I thought was interesting with this kid too is he joined the firefighter, like he seems to want to be a Dudley Do-Right type. He joined the Firefighters Associate or something with helping them and doing ride-alongs. These are things that he had done prior to this incident. It's just, he just jumped off the deep end by showing up at this protest with the AR-15, and how he got himself into this situation is just, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, whenever I watch these things, and thankfully we there was a period of time in this country a couple of years ago when we had these kinds of situations popping up every couple of weeks, where there'd be another city about to burn down over something. That's real troubling. Yeah, I do not want there to be. I can't imagine that the 80% in the middle want there to be an armed civil war hitting the streets, because I'll tell you, I'm not going to fare well in that mess. I'm not going to do well when there's no gas because the tanker trucks are being overturned on the highways and there's no food. None of us want that. If we could all just recognize that there are 10% lunatics on both sides and to ignore them and try and be a little bit more in the gray area and get along with each other. We don't have to like each other. There's this kid. If I had to sit in a stalled elevator with this kid for 15 minutes, I'd probably want to throttle him myself. But I'll tell you something else. If I had to sit in the same elevator with that skateboard guy who thought it was all right to start burning down Kenosha, Wisconsin, I'd want to throttle him too. We do not, simply because we lean in one direction does not mean that we have to embrace the most extremes of whatever direction we lean in. We don't. Stop it.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm scared if he walks.
Why?
Well, I think there'll be looting and burning, and there's the left side that's not going to be happy with that.
Yeah, and then those people would be idiots. those people, this is, look, we've got a long established system of justice in this country, and it ain't always perfect, and it's messy. The making of the sausage is not something that anybody wants to witness. But again, if he walks, it's because it was determined that he didn't. We're done. We're done. And thanks, Ed. This is the best segment you've ever done. Shut up.
Ed likes it when we get into uncomfortable places because it's raw.
Well, you didn't like my fried chicken rant yesterday? Thought my fried chicken rant from yesterday was pretty strong. And besides, there are other things to talk about. And we're going to be off this show in about 20 minutes, and then I'll be able to go back and start watching this again. And Pugs, what do you like? No, you're a right wing. I'm not a right. I'm just trying to be a normal dude in the middle. I've not been radicalized by either side because my brain, albeit it has some shortcomings, my brain is not radicalizable. Is that a word? Radicalizable. All right, let's continue on. There are other fun things that are trending. Here we go. All right.
I think they ought to offer him a plea bargain at this point.
Yeah. I think that's the best. I'm not even sure. Did he do any jail time? I mean, I know he got bailed out by Ricky Schroeder. Ooh, did that trigger some people?
No, but I'm saying I think the prosecution, after the day they've had today, go to the other side and go, hey, we're willing to offer you this deal. Take it.
Also trending today is everyone's favorite wackadoo, the QAnon shaman. Remember that guy? Jacob Cransley? I love that guy. I'm surprised there weren't more QAnon shamans this Halloween. Did you see any? Did you see anybody? I guess you got to be.
I did not.
You got to be big and tall and buff. All right. So this Jacob Cransley guy, I think that's his name. Folks, he's the QAnon shaman, self-appointed. He was beloved by the whole wackadoo QAnon group. You do know that he's a confirmed mental case, right? I mean, this guy has been in and out of mental hospitals his entire life. And people are like, I like the cut of his jib. Come on, man. That dude is insane. His whole family says that he's insane. So stop it. But so he petitioned the court for something. We'll talk about his attorney petitioned the court for essentially what is a time served order, which means that all right, he's been in jail because ain't nobody bailing his ass out. His family have been putting up with his nonsense at barbecues for a decade, and they're not there to help him out. But I want to remind you of what his attorney. This is the guy who defends him. This is the guy whose job it is to defend the QAnon shaman. This is what he said a couple of months back. The attorney for alleged insurrectionist and QAnon shaman Jacob Cransley says that his client and other accused Capitol rioters were uniquely vulnerable to being misled by former President Trump's lies. This is the defense. This is the defense of the QAnon shaman. A lot of these defendants, and this is the great quote, a lot of these defendants, well, they're all fucking short bus people.
That's what the attorney said?
That's what the attorney said. Yeah.
Oh, my.
A lot of these defendants, they're all fucking short bus people. Albert Watkins told Talking Points Memo. These are people with brain damage. They're fucking retarded, but they're our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, our co-workers. They're part of our country. These aren't bad people. They don't have prior criminal history. Fuck. They were subjected to 4+ years of goddamn propaganda, the likes of which the world has never seen. Since fucking Hitler. Yeah, that's the attorney dropping F-bombs and just...
Wow.
I love that these are fucking short.
So much for the public defender.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. All right. That's so that's just a little reminder of what he said before. But why is he trending now? Okay, here's why. Short bus people. They're right. Come on, man. You see a dude wearing a loincloth and giant Viking helmet walking around waving an American flag, and you think, I'm going to follow that guy. That guy seems to know. No, he's a short bus person, and you're a short bus person if you think that that's the way to go.
Well, when you're in a position of power, like the president of the United States, and you get to speak as much non-truth as that guy was able to speak. Yeah, I feel bad for those people.
Capitol rioter Jacob Chansley, perhaps best known as the horned and fur-clad QAnon shaman, requested that the time he's already spent in jail be his sentence for participating in the January 6th attempted insurrection. Misspelling. Oh, so this is misspelling Forrest Gump's name. Chansley's attorney quoted the character in the petition for time served, writing, "My mama always said you've got to put the past behind you before you can move on." According to the filing, Chansley has served 317 days in dank, fully enclosed solitary confinement in Alexandria, Virginia, due to COVID-19 restrictions since his arrest. Chansley pleaded guilty to obstruction of an official proceeding in early September, and his attorney wrote that he has shown contrition for his misconduct. And he has. QAnon Shaman has said, well, they got him on meds, obviously. They put him in jail. And they went to his doctors and they said, well, he hasn't been taking his medications. So they got him on medications. He's disavowed the whole thing. He now admits that it was all just nonsense and all that stuff. He's been in jail 317 days.
Yeah, I think we just saw one of them got sentenced to 60.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, Jenna Ryan, the idiot real estate girl, she got 60 days. He's been in jail 317 days because ain't nobody want to bail this fool out. Done. QAnon shot. I mean, look, I'd like to think that that's enough. He didn't do any obstruction of proceedings. He's done almost a year in prison. You can let this guy out. But somebody's got to make sure he takes his meds, and somebody's make sure that he can't have any horns. You know, he can't wear the outfit anymore. Although I got to imagine, even if he does take the meds, he might be a little bit, he might be obstructing his ability to earn a living, because that character, crazy car dealership owner openings in Alabama. He could do appearances. You know, I mean, you could do it. I would go. Hey, if you told me that the car wash down the street that was opening up was going to have the QAnon shaman out there, I'd go. I'd go just to see the QAnon shaman. Point, laugh, ask him if he's taking his meds. Look, there's money to be made for the QAnon shaman. I hope that Jacob takes his meds. I hope that he gets the mental health that he needs. And look, if he does all of those things, if he checks all of those boxes, well, why not allow him to make a living off the character that he created? This is artistic freedom. This is
but it's a bad character and a bad day.
Well, that's not for us to decide. It's totally normal. QAnon hasn't been made illegal. If he wants to wade back into that pool and just, do it as a goof and be the horned prince of QAnon, let him do it. Hey, the dude who's doing JFK Jr., he's leaning into it. That dude doesn't believe he's JFK Jr., but, he's leaning into it. Mm-hmm. He's like, all right, I'll make money for... yeah, Leslie, people did die, but that's not what he was charged with. He wasn't charged with insurrection or treason or any of that kind of stuff. He was charged with disrupting a proceeding, and I don't think that that's a year in jail for that. Like we said, the other people who are getting sentenced. I mean, I see your point. You're right. There is a larger 30,000-foot view of this whole situation, but he ain't been charged with that. He's been charged with what he's been charged with, and a year in jail. Especially since, we've just seen the bar set for Jenna Ryan at 60 days. That seems fair. 60 days seems about right. Knocking down a door or whatever,
She was pictured in front of a broken window.
Yeah, posing like, look at how cool this is. Yeah, okay, not so great. I kind of like the QAnon shaman. I do, and I also think, man, he's a handsome dude. Like, if he was like, if he wanted to clean himself up and put a suit on, and he could be like a model. He could be like, he's a handsome guy. But I'm telling you, the brain chemistry. Look, I got the depression, so I understand how fragile this whole thing is. I'm just glad that's the one I got. Because, as bad as depression can be, and certainly depression can lead to some tragic circumstances for a lot of people, at least I'm not a wackadoo, at least I'm not running down the street banging pots and pans, it's dressing up like a half bull, half Ben Franklin with face painted, waving a flag and, preaching about.
Yeah. Like what? Just imagine before he showed up there, who put together that costume?
He did.
I know, but I'm saying what's like going on.
And he was getting laid. He had girlfriends because he's good looking. He tried that costume out for a girl. He was like, "What do you think, babe? What do you think?" And she was like,
Yeah, guys like that look good, that don't have all their brain chemistry are definitely more dangerous.
Yes, they are. Yeah, because they got that charm. They got that good, not charm, but they got that good looks. They'll open a door. You'll talk to the good looking crazy person. And then you find out they're crazy. And then, they kind of lose their luster. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? What else is trending? QAnon Shaman. We got into that. We talked about Paul Rudd. Oh, it's National Signing Day. So all the high school athletes out there are claiming, wherever it is, they're going to go. How about this? This is an interesting one. Okay. We can get a little bit lighter on this one. All right, now I wonder, I've always wondered about this. Are you familiar with the song, The Wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald?
Yes.
You are, but you grew up in the Great Lakes. Like you grew up
it wrecked in the Great Lakes.
Right. So I'm wondering, people in the chat room, are you people who didn't grow up in the Great Lakes region of America? Are you familiar with the song, The Wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald? I'll wait. I think we're on like a 10-second delay. But here's my thing. I think that might have been a regional song in the Great Lakes region.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude. There are tons of songs that were big hits in Chicago and stuff that weren't big hits everywhere else. Back before you had this, it used to be about record industry guys would just work a market, and it was up to the individual radio stations in that market to choose what they were going to play. There was no uniformity from coast to coast. I mean, there were certain songs that became hits from coast to coast because they were undeniable hits, but there used to be a thing in America called the regional hit, where bands were like really big we talked about this with the Toadies. The Toadies experienced a bit of this. The Toadies had one hit that was a national hit. But here in Texas, you might have in 1994 heard the rock station play 4, 5, 6 different cuts from them. So there are songs that when I came down here and people were like, "I love the Toadies. I love the Toadies." And I was like, "I don't know one song." They're like, "What? They had like 10 hits." And I'm like, "No, they weren't hits. They were regional hits. They were hits that were played in the region where they were popular." So I always thought that Wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald, Switchin' to Glide is a great example. Do you know the song? You might know the song Switchin' to Glide because this was a band that was from Toronto. I think it was called anyway, I don't need to get into a regional hit song that most of the people listening wouldn't know. But there was a song called Switchin' to Glide, which around 1980 was a huge power pop radio hit. But whenever I have played it for people that didn't grow up in the Chicago area or aren't from New York or, the Rust Belt area, they don't know this song. Just as there are probably a ton of songs. Selena got murdered and she was on the front page. I'm like, I never heard of her before. I don't know who the hell that is. Yet people in this region knew who Selena was. They knew what Tejano was. We didn't. It was a regional thing. So The Wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald is a song that as a little kid, I used to love because I love me some storyteller songs. And this is a story. This is the song about the boat, the Edmond Fitzgerald, that went down in bad weather. Yeah, Ed the Kings. Of course, Ed knows the Kings. Kevin Barber knows the Kings. Of course, you guys know the Kings because you guys are in that region. That's you guys are from Chicago. So The Wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald was a song that a lot of people made fun of it, because it was really maudlin and super serious. But it told the story of this boat, the Edmond Fitzgerald, that crashed and sunk on Lake Superior. Now, I had spent my entire life thinking that this was like an old 1890s whaler ship, that this was like an old tale from the sea. Today is the 46th anniversary of the wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald. That means that the song that became a hit was released only a year after the actual. That was a current event song. That was a song about.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So here, I thought maybe I could play a little bit of it for you. But of course, because we can't play the real version, we'll just hear. Let's listen to this. This is a cover version. This is a loungy cover version of the wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, just listen to this story though. It's a real story. It really happened, like a year before this song became a hit.
Legend lives on from the Chippewa down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. The wind and the wires made a tattletale sound, and a wave broke over that railing. And every man knew, as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealing. When supper time came, the old cook came on deck, saying, fellas, it's too rough to feed ya. At 7 p.m., a main hatchway caved in. He said, fellas, it's been good to nose ya. The captain wired in, he had water coming in, and the good ship and crew was in peril. And later that night, when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald.
Not a good cover.
Well, it's different. But there is a bar parody that I've heard a couple of times before. This is I've heard this sung in a Wisconsin bar. Now, not by this guy, but maybe this one is more true to the original. That was a sped up, loungy version. This is what the song actually sounds like, except, again, we can't play the actual song. So let's listen to this bar cover, okay? Here's a guy in a bar singing.
Well known in the place I call home. I like girls with an ass that is roomy. I met an old slut with a very large butt. She said, son, for $10 you can do me. The bathroom wall said that she gave some good head, and for a good time to call her this evening. I was worried, though, that I just didn't know if I'd wind up with some dude named Steven. I gave her a call and we went to the mall and we enjoyed a couple of Slurpees. Was 2 days or more, I was pretty damn sore. I found out the old bag gave me herpes. Her hair was dyed, she didn't have a good side. She had moved here from someplace near Boston. When I got her home and she took off her clothes, well, my cookies, I just about tossed them. Her bush, when she turned, looked like an overgrown fern in desperate need of some water. Her elbows and knees had some scabby disease, and her mustache looked like Sergeant Slaughter. I turned off the lights, 'cause if I looked at her right, I felt like my eyes would start failing. Then I ran outside as my lunch began to slide, and I vomited over the railing. I went back inside to finish my ride, saying, Fatty, it's been good to know you. She said, not so fast, bro, there's something you should know. Now come here, I've got something to show you. The skin looked all wrong right up next to her thong. It was red and it looked irritated. Felt an itch on my crank and then my heart just sank. Aw, damn, I should have just masturbated. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when you pee and it feels just like acid? It was 2 weeks ago that I slept with that hoe, and my penis now it just stays flaccid. You might like this song and you might sing along, and you may even think that it's funny. But you wouldn't go if every time you go, there's a discharge that's white and real runny. My tail now spans all across this great land, from Maine all the way to the Rockies. Give me a sec. My Pinot steams like a cappuccino machine, and it keeps burning holes in my jockey. That filthy old hoe lives in Detroit, they say, and it's doubtful that anyone's caring. Her career high, she banged 29 guys on the hood of her Chrysler LeBaron.
All right, there you go.
The doctors all say that smell won't go away, like some shrimp that's been shipped here from China. I tried Listerine, even used Listerine, but my nuts still smell like filthy vagina.
There you go. That's
wow. The guy playing the instrument of the bar was impressive.
the wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald, retitled "The Whore in the Chrysler LeBaron." Which, I've heard that song before, and I found that I was like, wait a second, I can't play the song, but what is that like crazy Wisconsin pub song that people sing? And the deal is that song is like the joke The Aristocrats. I don't know if you're familiar with the joke The Aristocrats, but the whole point of the joke of The Aristocrats is that it changes depending on the person who's telling it. Like it starts out with a premise. It's a family that is an act, a showbiz act, and they go into an agent's office, and the agent says, "What is your act?" And then you get like 100 different comedians telling the same joke, and the act is all different, and it gets more and more vulgar, and it's just, it's crazy. So that's the famous comedy joke, The Aristocrats. That song is like that. Like I've heard that song done in different versions, but it's always the whore in the Chrysler LeBaron. But it's about how do you get to that line? Mm-hmm. It's about you can make any crazy rhyme up that you want about this girl and how horrid she was. But if you get to that line, that's the whole point of it. So there you go. Happy 46th anniversary. Well, happy. Yeah. Sad day.
Not happy.
Yeah, not a sad day. So if you're unfamiliar with the actual song, The Wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald, that was pretty true to the version, right? The first version that I played was a silly, loungy version, but that
had more of the beat.
Yeah, that's how the song go do 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 do. But I still do believe that that's a regional hit. I'm not entirely certain that was a big coast to coast hit. I think that it was just something that people in the Great Lakes region embraced because it was, about a.
Ed said it was number 2 on the Billboard charts for a couple weeks.
Oh, really? Oh, well, then maybe it is. I wonder. Then I would take it one step further. Because he would know. He probably looked it up. I imagine that it had more staying power then in the Great Lakes. Like, I don't think you'll hear The Wreck of the Edmond Fitzgerald played on a radio station in, say, Alabama, but you will still hear that song in Chicago. You will still hear that song played in Buffalo. You will still hear that song played in Minneapolis. Any of the Great Lakes cities, they still.
Is it still down at the bottom of the lake?
I don't know. You know what I was thinking? Because when I saw that it was the 46th anniversary, I saw all kinds of like YouTube videos about it and documentaries about it. I might watch one of those tonight. I might, because I'm interested. I'm just fascinated that it was only 46 years ago. I thought this is something that happened like at the turn of the century or something.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
like that's actually pretty. Like you said, it was a current event song.
It's a current event song. I had no idea that was the deal. All right, well, that's going to do it for today. We got into some things, folks. I hope you still love me. I still love you, but we're allowed to have differences. One thing we can all agree on is that John Hinckley is a tremendous singer-songwriter. All right, thank you, E. You look good. I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad it's not anything.
No, as long as I don't eat for a few days, I might be actually turning this into a positive, lose some weight.
All right, there he goes. Wave bye-bye. There he goes. That's E. We're gonna come back tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time for the Pillow Talk edition. Oh, and James is gonna be here, so he might want to, You might want to rehash the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing. I'm looking forward to that. But, hey, everybody's allowed to have their opinions and their hot takes. Again, I appreciate you. I appreciate you allowing for the conversation to take place, even if maybe we don't agree on all the finer points. That's what conversation's about. All right, that's enough for today. We are going to be back tonight at 9 o'clock for the Pillow Talk edition. Thank you all so much. Have yourself a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you then at 9 o'clock, Pillow Talk with Pugs Company on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Bye, everybody.
This can be the start of something new. Roses and lace, they are meant for you. This can be the start of something new. Roses and lace, they are meant for you.